What LinkedIn considers thought leadership is share something about yourself and share something about your industry. And so, Melissa, would you like maybe an opportunity to get level set right here and also give permission to other people that are hesitant because they think that in order to do that, you have to have a gazillion followers and look like Al McPherson or something like that?
Being a thought leader is sharing something that you know. It's talking about your lived experience. It's talking about things that you're really passionate about, things that we always talk in the community. You don't have to have a PhD from Harvard or from anywhere. You just have to talk about what you know. And that's what I love about LinkedIn. It's really a knowledge sharing platform. They reward people who share knowledge and want to share what they know with other people, and also who want to learn from other people.
The idea of job security is outdated as a landline. If you haven't been in a search for a while, it's probable you will at some point, by choice or not. Most executives admit to staying way too long, or sense what's coming and justify staying anyway. There's another reason. The faulty belief that navigating to what's next will inevitably be worse and has to suck. Screw that. Loren has spent a lifetime in corporate and executive search, calling bullshit on stale career advice that most still use. This is Career Blast in a Half, the career podcast for executives ready to cut past outdated career advice to fuel your outcomes now. So let's go.
All right. So this thing that I'm doing right now, the voice, from years and years and years ago, you were familiar with your voice because you'd have phone conversations. And then the whole idea about finding your voice or using your voice took on a completely new meaning, especially if you are somebody who wants to be on LinkedIn or is on LinkedIn, especially if you were talking about thought leadership, especially if you are in the middle of a career transition and you might be networking and interviewing. Knock, knock, who's there? That's why I invited Melissa Cohen and Julie Michelle Morris to come on the show today, because they are the founders of DIY Influence, and they help so many of us, and I've heard nothing but a trail of wonderful news and results from helping so many people who have been struggling to find their voice, even though they already have it. So I am so thrilled to have you here, Julie Michelle Morris and Michelle Cohen. Michelle Cohen. Now you both have the same name. And Melissa Cohen. Thank you. And I want to start with you, Melissa, because as we were coming onto the show, you said, well, I'm glad we're talking about this because this is my story.
Yeah.
And so most people know you as LinkedIn top voice. They know that you are a community builder, and congratulations on being added into the Cartier red thread and all of this great stuff. So, I know you, Julie, also have been advocating this and is an ardent supporter of women speaking up metaphorically and more literally in so many ways. But Melissa, go back and tell us why this resonates with you and why you raised your hand and said, ooh, that's my story.
Yeah, sure. So it is my story. I had a very traditional career for decades. I thought I knew exactly who I was and exactly how the rest of my corporate life was going to play out. I worked for my dream company. I was there for over 11 years, right? I was a VP at Ralph Lauren, and that was where I intended to be. And that commanded a decent amount of respect and admiration amongst people, right? You're at a party and someone asks, so what do you do? And you say, I work at Ralph Lauren. And their eyes just light up and you just take on this bigger persona, right? You're very cool. You're very glamorous. I mean, reality of it isn't that glamorous, but it certainly sounds like this amazing, glamorous packaging, that I'm attending fashion shows and soirees all the time. And then the pandemic happened. And so I lost my job and I was here in New York City which was a really tough time during the pandemic. It was tough everywhere. I don't pretend that anybody else had a good time, but New York City was really hard. We had really severe lockdowns. We're a very densely populated city. And I realized that losing my job and losing that identity, that piece of my identity, really made me confused as to who I was. I didn't realize how much of my own self-worth was tied up in that role until I could no longer say I had it, right? People would ask me what I do, and I don't know, what do I do? And that was hard for me. Like, I really, truly felt lost. And the irony of all ironies is that LinkedIn is where I found my voice. I started to participate. I had a LinkedIn account since 2008. I never posted. I never engaged. I accepted connection requests, and that was about it. And because I suddenly realized, oh, wow, I'm actually going to have to look for a job now, which is something I hadn't intended. And honestly, I had never had to do. My roles always came through word of mouth or from being promoted wherever I was. I really found a voice on LinkedIn, and I found a community. And that's why I love what Julie and I do so much, because I want to help other people have that experience as much as I possibly can.
Thank you for doing that and being so vulnerable about that, because I think there's going to be a lot of ripple from that understanding alone, right? Our identity, as much as we say, oh yeah, I'm a mom, I'm a this, I'm a that, there's also a lot of spillover. And so it's not like they sit in their own little neat container store vials and they're all lined up, right? They overlap in so many different places. And so I'm curious, from your standpoint, Julie, you strike me, and we've known each other, quote unquote, known each other for a while, that you were never, out there on the voice scavenger hunt. Is that true? Or is that really your story as well, maybe in a different light?
Such a great question, Loren, and I'm thrilled to get to be here. I just really respect and appreciate and admire you and everything that you do for others, and it inspires me to do the same. I love taking notes while I'm doing a session like this, because I have to remember there's only so much we can say. But if you hear anything else, like nothing else from me, everything that we want in life, everything is on the other side of us knowing how to advocate for ourselves and how to use our voice and how to speak up and say what it is we want. And most of the time, we are not going to feel like doing it. The feelings are not there. We don't feel like we are ready. We don't feel like we maybe even deserve it. We don't feel like it's going to be received well. But when we do it, we look back and go, wow, that was really important for me to do. And that really did turn into something incredible. And now look at everything that's come. So I love this concept of it. But I will tell you that for most of my life, like something like this would have been impossible. I would have been so scared and so unable to even choke out the words, because I had a fear of public speaking until the pandemic, actually. At which point I would pace my office holding my phone, doing Clubhouse. Like Clubhouse, the social audio saved my butt. I had always wanted to do public speaking, but I had had 40 years of life showing me that was the worst thing that I could never do that. Nothing will ever change. Who could ever get past something like that? And I would choke out the words and I would get so nervous, but like I had to learn how to do it. And if I can do it, anyone can do it, literally. So
I'm so glad that you threw us back to the Clubhouse days, because I've made jokes. I had pit stains the size of California because I was literally like holding that phone, and I was glad that nobody, because I wanted to like raise my hand and go up there. But then when they called on me, I was like, oh no. And so that push-pull kind of like, it was so maddening. And you're 100% right, Julie, because there is only one way out, and that's through. You can sit in the corner and say, oh, it's going to get better. And I love how you talked about the action. And what I wanted to ask you about is really that pivotal moment, right? Like whether you want to call it the linchpin, the trigger, the inspiration, like what was that moment or that series of moments that said to you, hey, like I've had enough of muting myself and watching XYZ go along, and how did you actually do it? So the moment, and then what was the path?
Melissa, you want to go or you want me to go?
Oh, well, you
You
go.
go.
So I was, and I haven't thought about this for a while. I love the question. I worked for a member of Congress for a long time. And I remember at one point, I had asked him to say something really, like, speak to this issue that he had an opportunity to do. And he didn't at all remotely address it the way I was hoping that he would. He didn't speak to that. To me, it was this huge opportunity to advocate again for doing something. And it felt so flat and so like, well, there went that opportunity and it's gone now. And I realized we cannot look to others to carry the torch for our ideas. And I had made a whole career out of doing exactly that. And there was this other point too that was much more immediate that finally was like that, like to your point, that linchpin. And I was sitting in, I think, the Home Depot parking lot, and someone had DM'd me and said, wow, I just love that you're a thought leader. And what I had said on my platform was like, no, I help leaders become thought leaders. I was not a thought leader. And I was frantically typing to correct her for that mistake of calling me a thought leader. And then I kind of like slowly just stopped and I put down the phone and I just thought. And it was like, what model is that setting for her? And don't we all have a voice? And holy crap, maybe I am too. And so I backspaced and said, thank you. And it was like, holy crap, what did I just do? Like, no one discovered me. Like, no one said, hey, you're a thought leader. It was a decision that I was going to go and bring the message to other people and not give a crap about what anyone else thought about it.
I'm so happy that you brought up this. I guess you want to call it like a faux phrase, right? Like this whole idea of thought leadership, I think sometimes gets a little heady and maybe even haughty. What I understand, I lean on you for this one, Melissa, is that what LinkedIn considers thought leadership is share something about yourself and share something about your industry. And I love what you always bring me back to, Melissa, because it shows up every day, which is teach me something. Teach me something. And so, Melissa, would you like maybe rip the Band-Aid off of this kind of very like elitist term that has maybe an opportunity to get level set right here, number one, and also give permission to other people that are hesitant because they think that in order to do that, you have to have a million followers and look like Al McPherson or something like that.
I love this question so much because you're right. It's become one of those sort of buzzy terms that people either love or hate or either embrace fully or roll their eyes at. And it shouldn't be. It should be something that we all aspire to because every single one of us can be a, quote, thought leader. Because being a thought leader is exactly what you were saying. It's sharing something that you know. It's talking about your lived experience. It's talking about things that you're really passionate about, right? Things that we always talk in the community. What makes you really mad? That's thought leadership, right? And it doesn't have to be this esoteric, high-level conversation. You don't have to have a PhD from Harvard or from anywhere. You just have to talk about what you know. And that's what I love about LinkedIn now. I always joke with people that LinkedIn isn't the LinkedIn of 2015 or whatever, where it was just a site where you went to find a job. You just uploaded the digital equivalent of your resume and you moved on. It's really become a social media platform, but in the best possible way, because I don't like social media. And that sounds really funny for someone like me to say, right? Because I love LinkedIn and I spend a lot of time there. It's really a knowledge sharing platform. And that is definitely what they reward. They reward people who share knowledge and want to share what they know with other people, and also who want to learn from other people. Something that I say a lot is LinkedIn is the world's greatest free education. And I really think it is. If you're willing to put the time in and look for the people who are there for the right reasons, you will learn so much from the platform.
I'm so glad that you talked about learning from each other, and also in both of your cases, not just in your DIY community, but in particular, lifting others up. So whether it's For to Follow, whether it's LinkedIn Nuggets, these are places where maybe some of those people are a little bit more under the radar, and we don't necessarily know who they are. I mean, literally, like every week, I will come back to Melissa with my quote unquote score. I'm only like 1 out of 5, or like maybe like I'm halfway there. And it's so refreshing because those people are not selected based off of a huge follower count. It's really about something either they said or something that we need to know in order to learn and follow from them. And so I'm so curious, what has been either your process for finding these little gems or nuggets with or without sauce, and also how has that given them wings or access to further developing their voice right then and there on the platform?
Yeah, so the nuggets came about really accidentally. I completely remember how it happened. A friend of mine, Kinga Badsta, she made a post, and something that I do a lot of times when I comment on people's posts is I just like pull something from it that I found interesting. I put it in quotes, I say it back, and then I talk about why that was interesting to me or why that resonated with me. And she replied back to me and she said something, I don't remember the exact words, but you always look for the nuggets. And I don't know, something just clicked and I was like, oh, nuggets, that's interesting. And that week I just decided to do this post of nuggets, and I was like, okay, well, a nuggets is a 6-pack, so let's do 6 nuggets. And people really enjoyed it, and so it became a weekly thing. And it just happens very organically. I don't specifically say, okay, today I'm going to look for a nugget. I just, over the course of the week, if something really jumps out at me, I put it in my notes app, because everything goes in my notes app in my phone or it doesn't happen. And at the end of the week, I just take them and I compile them into a post. And sometimes I have more than 6 and I have to choose, which is hard. And every once in a while, there's a bonus nugget, which is usually just something funny. It's just something that I couldn't not repeat because it was very, very charming or very, very funny. And so there'll be a bonus every once in a while. And that's really how it happened. And people really like it. I benefit from it, right? Because people look for it every Friday and it's a post that gets a lot of engagement. And so it's great for me. But I think this is something really important to know about LinkedIn. If you're not on the platform regularly, if you're scared to engage, it's such a positive platform. The positive to negative ratio is like off the charts, like 98-2. And so people will DM me and thank me and say, oh, I picked up all these followers because you put my quote, or, so many people reached out to me to say something. And that's just super rewarding to me, because that's really what I want. I want people to love this platform as much as I do, because I think it gave so much to me.
Yeah, the nuggets, which, in plain speak could be the verbatims, are also, I just want to say, you can get your voice there. There are people that are literally known for great comments, and for some reason, I don't know why, my posts have one tone and my comments seem to come out more on the fly or like a little bit, more tongue in cheek. And I don't know what it is, but the comments just bring it out of me. And I think it's the case for a lot of people. And you can find a lot of very spontaneous and clever, insightful pieces, and no better way to be able to, even if it's not on Nuggets, to be able to say to somebody that you don't know yet, hey, I cracked up when I saw this comment that you put out there, or, ooh, I never thought of that. And so, I wanted to just do a shout out for your voice doesn't have to come from content specifically. Your voice can be anywhere on LinkedIn. And to your earlier shout out to LinkedIn, it's welcome.
And you're talking about like my very favorite subject, because I think the comments are so underrated. So many people are focused on content, and rightly so, right? I understand that's what people are going to think of first. But I've made more friendships, more connections, had more meaningful conversation in those comments. And, you'll see on my posts sometimes, there'll be comment threads that are like 12, 13, 14 comments, and they're 3 or 4 different people kind of coming in and having this conversation. And that's where relationships really form. It's also a really good way to get started on the platform. If you're, I was so terrified to make my first post. It's terrifying. And comments is an easier way to sort of ease into that, right? Kind of find your footing a little bit and find your voice a little bit until you're ready to say, okay, I'm going to make that post. So highly recommend.
Yes. Nothing is better when somebody leapfrogs from your comment or like throws in a bunch of emojis or something like that. I was actually asking Craig Davis, who's the king of comments, he was doing some how-to on commenting the other day, and I was like, emojis or no emojis? Because some people, that's where the party is, in the comment emojis, but other people don't use them in their posts. It's like this whole kind of unspoken etiquette, non-etiquette. It's so funny. Julie, please tell us about DIY influence. Tell us about your community, your collective community of so many. What do we have to do? Tell us about it so that we can get more people into that community so that they can not only find their voice if it's missing in action, or exercise it so that they don't lose it again.
Such an interesting question about, do we ever lose our voice? I think that a reframe might be helpful. I just made a pivot in my own personal work. And that pivot was really, really kind of scary. And it was in response to what I think the market needed from me. And it once again my voice needed a little reinvention and a refresh. And I've found that we have this chance to really figure out what we are passionate about in an audience. I have, give or take, about 10,000 people that are following me or I'm connected to on LinkedIn. That audience has led to that pivot being able to happen almost seamlessly. And I want that for everyone else. I just do. I think that we, in the future of work, can expect to go in corporate. Now I'm going to go and have my business that I'm going to start. Now I'm going to maybe go and work for a startup. And now I'm going to go back to corporate. Like, we are going to have multiple careers, and we're going to have different modalities for those careers. And we need to not wait for every proof point out there to show you that the idea you have is a good one and you should go for it. And this community is really just kind of a perfect example of that. It's been about a year now since we've started, and I wasn't totally ready at all to start this new thing. But there have been some things that have made it really successful, and it's people and the right people and the right people. And that right there has been everything. So Melissa and I are partnering on this because there's no way I could have done it alone. not by any stretch. Like, we're all working within our margins here, right? So anything new that you want to start, whether it's, hey, I want to go figure out my voice and go put it out there on LinkedIn, that is going to be done in the margins. Like, sometimes literally in the bathroom, like when you're just sitting there wrestling with, like, how would I say this thing? Or like you're sitting there over coffee and you're just trying to get brave. So again, don't wait for your feelings to totally validate. Yes, I'm going to be confident today. I'm going to go do this thing. Just decide it's going to start. If I had waited to start this vision another year, it might have been too late. Like, the market fills up where the good ideas go. So you want to get there before you're ready, and then it will evolve. And then you realize you need more people like Melissa, like partners, like buddies to come alongside and bring their vision too. That has been crucial. And so what DIY Influence, this community I'm talking about, we want to help you go and build an audience so you can have that freedom to move in and out of corporate if you'd like to. So you can go and just find out who you are and whatever you want to do, but you've got now an audience to help you do it. And that is a constantly evolving work. It just is. And so feel like you don't know who you are anymore. The act of writing will help you figure it out. It is in while your feet are moving that you figure out who you really are and what you want and who can kind of come alongside you to do it. Writing is what led Melissa to me. Writing is what led all of the people that are a part of our community. It's because we got brave and we just said the thing on our mind, and that's how everything else has come about too. So there you have it.
I cannot recommend this cohort strongly enough, because I've literally seen some of the folks who went through Portfolio Rocket ended up at DIY to further and deepen down on their influence. And it's a beautiful thing, because knowing the two of you is also, it's a living, breathing example of how this comes to life. It's not like it's one and done. It's happening on a really fluid and consistent basis. And what I also want to talk about, as you mentioned just a minute ago, Julie, is, and this is my latest, what's keeping me up at night. I find it distressing and also consuming that we have been taught in our world to get health insurance, to have car insurance, to have life insurance, to have all of these things in case of an emergency. And this idea of career insurance, it flew out of you know what. Like, it never happened. And most people that I speak to will come back and say something along the lines of, I've never had to look for a job before. I don't know what LinkedIn is all about, and I need to level up. And then the last thing is, and my network has atrophied. And that combination is something that isn't a one and done. I don't want to pretend and like send you off thinking there's some kind of bogus magic bullet, because there's not. But if you build your voice, which of course is also partnered with your personal brand and all these other ancillary things, you are essentially creating career insurance, because nobody can take that away
Heck
from
yes,
you.
Lauren. I absolutely love that so much. So one of the things to know about what Melissa and I are talking about, we have day jobs. We are doing this work just like people who are listening would, where you have a day job and you're just trying to build an audience on the side, but like is not a means to an end. And so there are some people out there who will come on to LinkedIn and say, oh, all you got to do is do this and this and this hack and this strategy, and then you are going to be successful at everything you do. It's like, and often their idea of success is like they just have more people either in their program, in their community, in their cohort. And like that to me just kind of sucks. Like, I actually go and I do thought leadership work during the day for companies, and like that's great, but like whatever that day job is for me, I could go do geology and still do this on the side. And so if someone is trying to sell you something, make sure it is someone like Loren, who is actually like, she has the receipts, as they say. I love those receipts. And but I'll just be very honest about this one thing. Melissa and I, and Loren, you too, I think we would all raise our hands and fully sign off on the fact that we are nothing special. We're just women who got brave and made the decision. And if we can do it truly, you can do it too if you were listening to this. We could have been the forgotten ones, like hiding off in a corner at work or wherever we were. And the only thing that separates us from anyone else, and it's not, again, to your point, I don't look like Elle Macpherson. I'm just as smart as anyone else is, but nothing special there. I'm just me. I just decided to, again, speak up. And that's all I do. I go on LinkedIn a couple times a week, 3-4 times a week, when I have the health, when I have the energy to do it. And I push hard when I do. And I reach out just 20% more confidently than I feel. But like, nothing special.
Yeah. I know. I say it like this to my kids. I'm just another bozo on the bus. Like literally, like it's good like that. And guess what? That's the best place to be, especially on LinkedIn. So I often will double click on this because people are very concerned about having a professional persona. And I'm not suggesting that you go out there and start slinging the swear words or anything like that. Yeah, keep it congenial, but you can also do this in a way that is yourself and professional. And so we're going to wrap this up. I know I could literally, like, can we just have lunch together? I have like a whole salad.
Yes, please.
Yeah. For people who, I mean, we'll definitely include access to your community for sure. But with an opportunity to send a sign off and maybe give somebody something that they could have as a reminder. I'm a big Post-it girl. You may know that about me, but like I need those slaps, like, got it, girl. What would your Post-it be, Melissa, with respect to this topic?
I have a lot of them. If I have to just pick something off the top of my head, I'm going to go with 2 of them. One is just start. Like, just take that first step, right? Don't get lost in overthinking it, because if you do, you'll never do it. The second one is something that you were just alluding to, Loren. Be authentic, and don't be afraid to have some personality. You know, LinkedIn is a very professional platform, thank goodness. It's, as you said, congenial, it's polite, but people also want to know who you are. And that speaks to the whole, personal brand aspect of all of this. Don't be afraid to show your personality and, the things that matter to you, because people want to know who you are.
100%. And Julie, what's yours? You can double dip too if you want, because I know Melissa doesn't double post. You double posted yesterday, and now you double dipped. You're freaking.
There's a balance out there. That's for sure. I'll say this: we're just finishing our first new line of merch, which feels so incredibly happy and fun, and it's all revolving around that confidence is a decision. It really is. Often I'll tell my children, like, don't think, just do. Don't think, just do. It's like, eat your broccoli. Don't think, just do. Go brush your teeth. I don't want to go brush my teeth. I know, don't think about it. Just do it. Just do. It's like Mel Robbins' 5-second rule. You're going to count yourself down and you're going to go. Like, just start. And you'll be so glad you did. 23 sticky notes.
Both. I heart you, like, in the sticker, like high school, like big, like, emblem kind of way.
I think this is how the kids do it now. They like take their index finger. Oh, I keep trying to ask for a tutorial. They look like I do not know this. No, it's like you take your middle finger and you're. I'm like, I don't know, but practically getting a here.
Thank you so much. Not just this, right? For everything that you do, for the community of LinkedIn, for helping us to find our voice, for coming on today, for being great people, and also for helping to lead the next generation and show other women that we get to do this and we do this together. And I love you both.
Oh my gosh, thank you, friend. So appreciate you, Loren.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Thank you for joining today. We appreciate your listening ears. Big time. We ask this: use these tools, not tomorrow, right now, and share them by spreading the love, leaving us a rating and subscribe so you don't miss the next career blast in a half. Most of all, thank you for you.